Right now, the product world is changing. It's changing dramatically. It has been changing, it is changing, and it will continue to change. One of the things that changes this world is the emerge of new software and support for product managers. And also, other things that are changing are the product led organizations and individuals that create product success. What we have with us in this session is a person that symbolizes all three of those things. Todd Olson, a product thinker, one of the thought leaders in the world of product thinking, the founder of the company Pendo that supports product people throughout the world with knowledge and data, helping individuals to create better products. And also, he's also the author of the phenomenal book Product Led Organizations, and where he talks a lot about being product led and what that really means. And we're really proud at Product Beats that Todd found the time to join us for a 30-minute session to discuss around how to succeed with products. Enjoy. Wonderful. So let's get started. But before we get started, Todd, we know. I told you that we have connections with the Swedish FBI,
Yes.
and we have places that can get a hold of different photographs and proof points of what is happening in the world. And we found a photo of you, Todd. And this photo right here shows us that somebody has told us that you are an awesome cake baker. Is this
I don't know
correct?
I call myself awesome, but I definitely like to bake cakes. So
You bake cakes. So then our second question to you now on this how is it? Why are cake bakers becoming better product managers?
well, look, I think baking a cake is you need to really focus on your craft to be good at it, to delight your users. And I think a big part of why I like it is that I get to control every little aspect of the cake to make sure that it truly delights. So it definitely fits some part of my personality.
Okay, that's probably not the normal question for you, but still. How? But I find that with keeping the track of the users and keeping track of the trying to delight the user is probably a big goal and an objective when creating the cakes. But Todd, I've been reading your book, The Product-Led Organization, and I truly love it. I think that it's what you combine in the book. I truly appreciate that you combine both very practical approach to things while still yet being very strategically and visionary in the way that companies can evolve in their way of working with products. And I think that combination is kind of rare to combine those two together. So thanks for writing it and sharing with us in the product community.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the kind words. So
And now, would say everything around product thinking. And you've been in product for quite some time, also, like for the last years, and you've seen the tremendous change that the product thinking and product management has gone through over the last 10 years, 15 years. Why is it going through such an enormous change right now in the way that we work and operate in products right now? What is driving this change?
well, I think we're seeing an increased importance and relevance of product. I think and this is a shift. A lot of us used to engage with customers in a very manual, human-led way, and now all of us are expecting to interact with companies, with brands via the product itself. The product itself is becoming the greatest brand ambassador. It's becoming the channel that you engage with the most. So what's in the product, how the product's architected, designed, how the experience works, every aspect of the company cares about it because it affects all of them. Look in the past, we'd have digital banking applications, and you'd have digital teams or people that own the app. Now the person who runs customer success cares more about that app than they did about the experience in the physical branches themselves. That's a change. That's a change because more customers come through the digital app than they do through the physical branches. So if you run customer success or support for a bank, what are you going to spend your time thinking about? You're going to be thinking about digital, about products. It's just increasing. It's the most relevant door, so to speak, on your business. So you have to care about it more.
It's pretty obvious also that within the product space that all the different dots get connected in the product when it comes to the customer journey. You talk about the customer journey and the user experience. We talk about technology, the customer encountering, everything, your services, everything meets in the product. And I think that's become more obvious in the digital space when we're working also via in the web arenas or digital arenas.
Yeah. Well, part of it is we're all just really busy. So look, I mean, 10 years ago or so, if you were trying to market a new good or service or upsell a customer on something, of course we would send emails, and there's still plenty of email that come out. But when people are getting thousands and thousands of emails, that is not the place to engage with customers to help explain to them some new good or service, some new capability. You have to engage with them in the product. That is the only part where their brain is contextually focused on you. When I'm trying to triage my email and get to inbox zero, trust me, I'm not trying to buy something when I'm doing it. It's like move, right? Whereas when you're using a product, it's actually a pretty good time to communicate with users and try to get them thinking more about your products and your goods and services and what you can offer. So I think some of it is just information overload and context switching. I don't know if you feel the same way, Magnus, but our attention spans
absolutely, Todd, and even more so than you think. I was in '98. I started an email and digital communication company, so that I was part of that already back then in '98 and 2003. I sold the company. Already then it was getting too many emails and digital communication in the space, and we cannot. It's really hard to reach customers, prospect, leads, whatever you do in general via email and just communication. But in the behaviors, in the actions of using the products, they actually can interact in a much intelligent way. So I think that we're seeing a change here, a huge change. I totally agree with you. And before we used to say that the great product doesn't sell itself. But I think now that's kind of that old conventional wisdom. We might have to throw that away and say that a great product does actually sell itself to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. A great product does sell itself. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some companies out there that don't also need to employ sales humans, and we have sales humans at Pendo. So while a great product does probably sell itself, large companies have practices for how they buy things. And a lot of what our sales humans need to do is, it's not about selling the product. It's about navigating the procurement processes for large businesses, because those, frankly, are still pretty conventional and pretty old. So again,
that's for sure.
I think it's important that when I talk about product led, and this is actually one of the number one questions I get is my head of sales is scared that, if we switch our model that, salespeople won't get paid, et cetera, et cetera. And I've never said, I don't say anywhere even in the book that you don't need salespeople. It's just what they do is different in a product-led organization. They shouldn't have to educate the user and the customer on why the product matters and what it's valuable about. They should be focusing more on, how do I get to power? How do I drive decision making? How do I find budget?
More the key account management.
Exactly, those are the things that are kind of, to me.
But you mentioned the word, and also the title of your phenomenal book is product led, and you just mentioned that also in product led organization. Now, could you explore on that a little bit and expand that thinking? What do you really mean with a product led organization?
What I mean is that each and every function of the company is thinking about how they can leverage the product to better perform their roles or activities. So rather than thinking it's not the product management team leading the company, rather it's product experience leading the company. So when you think about the product experience being the most important experience, not just a part of the overall customer experience, it changes the way you design your business. And to me, it's a big shift from kind of human-led activities to more digital and product-led
Yeah.
activities.
I love that distinction that you just made there, that it's the product experience, not the product management team or product team, but the product experience that's guiding the company more so than just the organization of product people, because it's that makes it easier to adapt, I think, also for different companies.
Exactly.
But if we still look, would say, in the role of the product managers that we work a lot with, and you work a lot with, and the Pendo product that you, the company that you have founded, that is the phenomenal Pendo product that is being used, I think, all over the world, and is making a big footprint everywhere. And when you talk now about being product led, how is this changing the role of the product managers?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because the product manager, I think in many cases was more focused on collaborating with customers and then engineers. So I always say product managers usually sit in between the customer. In some cases, in Scrum, they call it the on-site customer often, right? But they kind of sit in between that customer as well as, and then in between that and the engineer. I think now the product manager has the opportunity to be even more cross-functional than ever. So, for example, let's say you are employing product-led growth and you want to drive revenue through your product. You probably need to be working very closely with your marketing team or your sales team. Maybe you have a cross-functional team where you have a sales human, a product management human, and an engineering human. Oh, and a design probably human as well, on a single cross-functional team to be optimizing that experience. That's a different motion than we've seen before. Another good example is customer success and onboarding. What's that first use look like? And some companies employ customer success professionals to onboard customers in a human-led way, via a Zoom call, something to this effect. But if you're trying to automate that and you're trying to find out how do we take that, package that, and put it in a product-led way, you need to collaborate with that function. So I think it's a different mode of operating. We even have some customers that do product-led collections. What if a company's not paying? How do you leverage the product to get in front of customers to say, hey, you owe us money? but when you're doing that, you need to think about designing that experience in a way that one doesn't irritate people, because you have a goal with that message, but you want to make sure you do it in a way that's still respectful and still drives good customer loyalty and things like that. So I think it fundamentally changes the way you think about designing product.
You mentioned a number of times when you talk, both in your book and also now when you talk about onboarding, you talk about evolving customers in different ways. You talk a lot about the journeys, that the product is taking customer on a journey from one state to another in the way they use the products, in how they interact with the product. Do you almost see that product management, and you say that the product is the user experience? It's almost like saying that we're, as product managers, we work like journey managers. We're like guides. We're building journeys, tours for customers. Or how do you see the role of the journey and the product?
Yeah, look, I think you're looking at every aspect of the life cycle and trying to find ways to optimize it. So it's how do they come into the product? What do you want the user to experience first? One of the concepts I talk about frequently is this notion of an aha moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you use this product, there's some magical moment. There's something inside this product that once you use it, it's like light bulbs go off in the user's head. And they're like, wow, I get it. Every good product has this. I mean, I'd argue if your product doesn't have it, it's a question of whether you're probably going to make it. So, but every good product has something that once you see it, people kind of like, okay, I get it. And your job as a product manager is to direct the users to experience that as quickly as possible. What you don't want to do is like hope they find it after like 30 days of using your product, because you could churn the customer, or you could leave them,
Yeah.
or they may get bored and tired. Like, what you want to do is you want to get them in, show them, the magical parts so that you hook them. I mean, in general, it's about hooking that user and getting them sort of, addicted, maybe a strong word, but
I love your concept of aha moments, that we do have them in almost every single product has its aha moments when you really get value from the product and you understand the value it's bringing. Not only that you get the value, but you understand the value, and that's a difficult
yeah.
thing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, I'll give you an example. Matt, you ever driven a Tesla?
Yes.
Yes. So look, this Tesla experience, for those who don't have it, you order online. It's kind of a normal online shopping experience. In the US, when I picked mine up, it was not the best experience. They kept changing the date. It was late. It was really confusing. They ended up sending me to some random part of the city to pick up this car. It looked like I was in the shittiest parking lot in the world. I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the experience. Guy, we take care of the paperwork, by the way, in an abandoned gas station is where it was. He quickly showed me how to like open the door and start the car. That's all he told me. And I'd never test driven one, never, really driven one in my life. And within 5 minutes of driving off the lot, I was like, okay, I totally get it.
You got your aha moment after 5 minutes.
That was the aha moment. It was just driving the car for 5 minutes. I was like, damn, this is absolutely amazing. And I still probably don't know how to use every single feature in the thing, but that doesn't matter. Like every time I drive it, I'm like, this is pretty delightful. And like that's the definition of a great product.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing, that we need to build journeys where we guide and help customers to experience aha moments, as you say, very quickly, and guide them to those points. And I suppose there are lots of them. You start there in the onboarding process in the very early stages of the product, but then throughout the life cycle of the product, you need to add new aha moments and keep adding them. And I think that, of course, this is an issue for product managers to keep on adding aha moments. How do you find those? How do you identify them?
Well, I think an aha moment, it's at the intersection of like solving a hard pain, but doing it in an unexpected way. That's kind of an aha moment. Like, I'll never forget, obviously I've been using Google for years. And then this is years ago, by the way, I threw in a FedEx tracking code. And it didn't just take me to some link. It showed me where my package was right there in the Google search. Think about that small design feature. And then they gave me exactly what I wanted to see. Like, that's a sign of design that's just one step further than what, like, just answering a search result. They could have done that in a bunch of different ways, but that was delightful. And you know what? It was solving a real pain. I wanted to know where my package was. It would have taken me 3 or 4 extra clicks. That was delightful. And that's, I think, the key in essence to great design is like, there's some problem, some pain we're trying to solve. When someone solves it in just a completely delightful way, like Apple, how often now we're trying to use this log into anything in the world, do we get some text message that has 2-factor authentication? Like, raise your hand. Like, everyone in the audience has done this 2-factor thing. And look, it makes our phones more secure. It's good for us. But now, if you hit a button in an iPhone, it'll say copy the code from the messages that just came in that you got. How delightful is that? And what I would have had to do is go to the Messages app, look at the code, either memorize it or try to copy it, go back to wherever screen I was on and paste it in. That was delightful. It did exactly what I wanted to without even me thinking about it. And I think those are the little details that make us buy products.
Yeah,
that's what gets us addicted, is that delight. We expect
this
delight, product.
This delight, this desirability that we enjoy using the product, that keeps us loyal, that keeps us going back and using the products. That's wonderful. So thanks. We've been talking a little bit about product-led organization. It's really not around the product team that is leading. It's more about that it's the product experience, the user experience that's guiding the way, and the product is is the user experience. A lot of digital companies, and then also you shared now a lot about aha moments and how to create great products. What are the key traits of a great product? But one thing that I think is really exciting these days is very much around a lot of the books and thoughts. And I had a talk with our good friend, Professor Dr. Tony Gorshek. He's actually one of the most published Swedish researchers, and is leading some really wonderful initiatives on software engineering rethought in a large research programs. He also talks a lot about right now on experimentation, on how do we turn data into insights. And I think this is also a lot that you're working on, both what you believe in and what's made you start Pendo. But how do you see the journey from just we generate a lot of data, but how do we turn that into insights and actions? What's that workflow? Because everybody says data is the new oil, but hey, is data the oil, or is it the insights that makes us? How do we turn that oil into something valuable?
Yeah. Well, obviously, data, you can get barraged with data, and it can give you, it's hard sometimes to really take something away. Insight is the learning. Insight's the learning, or what I often will tell my team is insights are the why. Like if I see a number go down, what's the first question you ask? Well, why did it go down? And then when you learn why, that's the insight, right? So to me, like, all the work we do is trying to answer why, because if you understand why, then you can do something about it and fix it, right? Like it's one thing to tell me something's bad. It's another thing to tell me how to make it better, right? And so I'm always trying to find how to make it better. So look, there's a lot of different techniques in doing this. I think one of the easiest, fastest techniques that I call it even a hack sometimes is marrying quantitative data with qualitative data. And I talk about that in the book quite a bit. But like, okay, you see something go down, go ask the people why they stopped doing it. I know that may seem like an obvious thing, but all too often we don't employ basic qualitative techniques. And sometimes that qualitative data, you can get really good insights like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't think of that, right? That's one. There's a variety of other tools out there. You can actually watch videos of people using software. Right? In the book, I talk about session replay a little bit, like because we were just doing a customer call recently where a company we're talking to, their conversion rate in their shopping cart like dropped off, and they had no idea why, and they had no indication why. They watched one video, maybe two videos, and they saw that some engineer had hard coded the shipping date to like 6 to 8 weeks. Just a bug. Now, but it wasn't a bug that was throwing an error. It wasn't a bug that but that we just watched couple videos, they fixed it, and boom, number one back up. That's an insight, right? Yeah. They saw something go down. Okay, that's quantitative information. They use qualitative data to then actually understand why, drive the insight, and go up. So those are some of the big ones. I think the other big thing that I talk about is segmentation. Okay, yeah. It's one thing for you and I to say this number went down 30%. Not like an aggregate number. If I say, oh, it went down 35% with people between the ages of 20 to 25 who live in Sweden, well, that actually is now a learning. Okay, well, something specific about that cohort, about that audience set, that demographic that we did, maybe we screwed it up. Maybe let's go attack that rather than just like, you see this big number. How do you dissect this? So breaking things into small chunks, understanding segments. That's the way, I think, another way that I see people drive insights. So
I think those are good thoughts, and we've been discussing that quite a lot around data. We need the data, of course, that triggers some behaviors or proves something or verifies something, but then we need to add some, as we say, human thinking, then qualitative analysis, and understand how do we interpret these, where do we want to take this. And of course there's AI and machine learning and different algorithms we can use, but I still see that not as of yet. We still need to add a lot of thinking to make the insights happen.
yeah, there's definitely an opportunity that once you give people this data to kind of help them understand how to interpret it and get to the answers. Look, I also think things like machine learning and AI are obviously very important. I think they're important when you have a described set of training data, but it's difficult to kind of ascertain what that algorithm is. I think leveraging something like machine learning is something that's a very useful technique, and it's actually much more known now than it used to be. And we're actually employing some of that now for some of our work as well, where if we know that we have a set of training data, for example, okay, we know that these 10 customers churned, and we have all of this signal data that's maybe hard for us to maybe as humans parse to see what those indicators were. You start to derive what that algorithm is via this training set. So I think it's super valuable, and it's absolutely another technique to use to drive insights.
Because I like those two ways of thinking. Combine quantitative and qualitative data, and also work with segments or target markets to make the analysis of getting to the why. That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. But one thing that that we keep thinking a lot about is what ends. I mean, this is a stupid question or big questions. I don't know what we should call it. How do we know what insights we need to build?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's all about your goals and what you're trying to head to. So at any given time, and this comes down to focus, Magnus. At the end of the day, we in our orgs, we need to have clarity and focus on what's most important to our organizations at any given time. And look, if I step back, generally speaking, look, I run a company. So the question is, what are the metrics that the company cares about? Because you were talking earlier about the Swedish FBI. Maybe the Swedish FBI doesn't care about the same metrics that say Pendo would care about. But what do we care about? We care about growth. Okay, I mean, like growth is highly valued, specifically within software companies. So I get up every morning and I think about, how do I drive more growth for the business? And I start breaking that down into small chunks. Okay, I can drive growth through this. I can drive growth through that. I start backing up from that and start coming up with areas that I want to explore and drive insights for. Okay, if I just take these existing customers and try to find a way to drive, 50% growth from a set of customers, what would we have to do that? And try to answer some of those questions through qualitative questions, through watching of behavior, through understanding other market conditions. I mean, so that's kind of how I back through it. Like I start with a goal, and I start working backwards from that goal to more leading indicators. Some companies out there are less growth focused, and they're more efficiency, productivity. Maybe they care more about cost reduction.
And I think that's quite interesting, and that we always need to have some kind of direction or purpose or somewhere. Where do we want to take this company, this product? Where do we want it to go? Then we can find the relevant insights. And it's not saying that every single company needs exactly the same insights or data. It can be different depending on where we want to head, even though there are normally some generic data that we want to track, of course, and insights.
Yeah, I mean, another good example here. I was talking with the CEO of a hospital, and what does the hospital care about? Of course, they care about patient care, but a big part of it was keeping physicians happy. If physicians are happier, they deliver better patient care. And so the question was, why are physicians unhappy? And they actually learned through research that actually clicks, the number of clicks they use on computers in the software, was one of the number one leading indicators of physician happiness or unhappiness. More clicks, less happy. So okay, if you're running a hospital and you want to drive great patient outcomes and patient delight, but it all depends on physicians not being grumpy when they're sitting in front of patients, reducing the number of clicks in software became the insight. So work backwards. How does clicks go from patients that's how it goes from it. And that's how
it's
you think about this.
it's not an obvious connection, clicks to
No.
patient care. I mean, next time I go to the hospital, I will ask him, how many clicks have you done today before booking a session? I will see if that works. But, I find this is an interesting example because we see product management being happening in a public sector. It's increasing a lot in the public sector. I mean, hospitals in Sweden is primarily public sector, but hospitals, cities, the employment office, insurance, like more of the public sector is also, I don't know if you've seen that in other areas, but we definitely see how product thinking is being applied almost everywhere in the society today.
Yeah. Well, you must not read the news, Magnus, because hospitals are not a public sector thing in the US. So. That's a bit of a joke.
Oh,
but no, yeah, no,
it's
absolutely.
quite different, of course.
I think, well, this is probably another topic for another podcast.
Probably.
But I think there's been this shift in mindset from project thinking and hospitals and more traditional business to product, because these things aren't projects. They don't just like you build it and you go away. Like they're an evolutionary thing, like just any product. So I think it's critical that there's product thinking in our hospitals and our software that support. I mean, it's going to create better outcomes. So.
Yeah. There's one thing that I find is very exciting in the role of products is that when we create and evolve products, the usage of these products will be happening in the future. And some of the products that we create, even though things are changing, we might create a feature and something, and this will live on maybe for 5 years. People will use this product or this software. I find that extremely exciting to say that we're shaping the future with our products to some extent. But when we're looking at metrics and insights, how can we find any indication about the future from the existing metrics today?
At the end of the day, you sometimes have to search for that metric to see, look, I mean, I think you're asking the fundamental question is how do you predict the future to some degree, whether you're adding value. And I think it comes down to every once in a while you get a small nugget, a small insight of how someone's using your product in a way that you can fast forward a few years in your mind and realize, okay, this person did this one thing in my product, like today, 1,000 people are going to do it in a year and 10,000 are going to do it in 2, right? I think those are the kinds of nuggets that kind of get you excited. I think, look, when I started Pendo, I visit with some of our forward-thinking customers and they would do things. And I was like, wow, you guys are doing some really cool things, and it often happens just through discovery, through conversation, through, qualitative interviews. But fast forward today, now lots of people do those same things. And I think that's to me, the exciting point. We're always building products. There's this classic technology adoption life cycle curve, the Jeffrey Moore stuff, where you have like the early adopters and listen to your early adopters. They're the ones that's going to help paint a picture of the future
we need to go on a treasure hunt among our customers and to find the treasures that they possess, the gold nuggets that they can share. I love that. I love that thinking that we can learn a lot about the future by looking at the customers. Then we need to make sure that we get the right customers joining us then.
Exactly. Yeah.
One more thing that I need to discuss with you is that when we work with products, we look around us. Almost everything in this room now, in our studio here, everything around me is products. We have a camera, we have a microphone, we have screens, we have lots of products surrounding us here. In fact, everything around me, or more or less, have a product manager behind them or a product team behind them. So if you look at, we are creating the society. A lot of us are a part of creating the society. So we want to create products to be proud of and create societies to be proud of. In general, I think we need to take on that also responsibility as product people. But how do we do that? Because we need, have you thought about that? And what are you proud of with the work of Pendo? That you believe that we in evolving our society also in a better way?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think Pendo is kind of a meta product in that we not only are a product ourselves, but we help other products be great products. So I guess in my ways, part of what I'm proud of is that if we do our jobs well, we're going to make society better through helping other products be better. And a lot of our customers will when I gain pride in reading their stories. I was just talking recently with one of our customers. It's a known customer of ours. It's a company called Toast. They do a point of sale system for restaurants. They're on their road show, or they're very close to pricing in the IPO, and like, you're watching videos of how they help restaurateurs during COVID, and it's like some gripping emotional stuff. And knowing that we helped them help those restaurants survive a very unexpected situation
Yeah.
that makes me feel amazing. So and I think
Congratulations, and that's absolutely something to be proud of. If we can help the product people around the world to create better products, that's something to be very, very proud of, and that is what you are doing, Todd. So thanks for that. Do you have a last advice to product people around the world? One final word. What do we need to think about for the rest of 2021? We only have 2.5 months or whatever it is before, was it 3.5, 2.5 months before the year's end? What do we need to accomplish and do over these 2.5 months?
continue obsessing over the details, continue delighting customers and solving real pain points. Like, always focus on the fundamentals. So like, if you focus on the fundamentals, good things happen. I think if people get distracted by other things, that's when we start honestly not building great products. So obsess over those details, make sure we're taking care of customer pain, listen to customers. I mean, that's all I've got. So basics,
That's not
fundamentals.
all you. That's one part of it you got. You've done a share. Oh, that's the wrong page. You've shared a lot of other thoughts in this one that I think are great thoughts that we can bring with us. And personally, Todd, I will bring me from our discussions today around the aha moments. That became a little bit of pain for me. Have we really designed them in the right way in our offerings? So I will sit down with Matilda and discuss around aha moments in our customer journeys right after our talk. Todd, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thanks for joining the Product Beats and this special edition of Product Beats.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, friends, I hope that you've enjoyed listening to the wisdom of Todd Olson, the founder of Pendo, the product guy, the author of Product Led Organization, and just a great guy. And what I really liked from today's session and with the talk of with Todd is about the what's happening. Why is the product area really changing? What is happening, and why is it happening right now? I think those are exciting things, that the product is becoming the key part of any given organization. Before it was a part of it. Now it is the part of the organization's delivery, and that is where the customer journey and the customer experience, everything is centered around the product. And I think that's why the product thinking has become so much more important, and that's also what Todd shared here today. I think that's a great learning that I bring with me. He also talked about the aha moments of your product that symbolizes any great product, that these aha moments where we're not only delivering value with the products, but the customer understands the value that we're delivering to them with these aha moments. To identify the aha moments and also design the aha moments is something we as product managers should be doing. We also spend a lot of time talking around insights. How do we build insights? How do we go from data to insights? And Todd shared 2 tips and tricks in how he approaches that subject. One is to combine quantitative data with qualitative analysis. So the insight is about understanding the why. And I think you phrased that very well, that it's about asking, why is that quantitative data? And when we know the answer to the why, then we have some insights. I love that, would say clarity of thoughts. And he also talked about segments to understand the different target groups or user groups that we're having. Do they behave differently in certain ways? And if we do that, then we can also go from pure data to insights based on the different types of users. I love that. And uh, he also shared some thoughts about why he is proud of the work that he's been doing. And I think that's beautiful that um, he supports product people around the world to create better products. And that is what Pendo is doing. And that's something that he's extremely proud of helping companies to thrive and sometimes just to survive. And being part of that journey, then he saved a number of companies and helped them succeed in their work. And that's something to be really proud of. Um, so, once again, I hope you enjoy the talk from Todd Olson, the founder of Pendo and the author of the Product Led Organizations. Cheers.